All right, let's dive in. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the entire achievement system of OxcashNFTPro. We're going to explore the path, the pins, and the philosophy behind it all. And we're doing it using their own words, their own documents. So let's get right into it.
So they kick things off with this really cryptic quote. It's basically saying, hey, there's a secret club here, a path that only insiders can really get. It sets this tone that what we're about to look at isn't just random. It's a specific journey with its own rules.
So that brings up the big question, right? How do you actually get from this first pin to this one, the platinum? What's the journey between these 2 points really look like? That's what we're going to map out right now, what these pins mean and what it takes to climb that ladder. So the way they explain it is that this isn't just a bunch of random badges they're handing out. The OxcashNFTPro system is laid out as a super clear path with very distinct levels. The pins are just the markers, the signposts, that show you where you are on your journey. The whole thing boils down to 5 main tiers. Each tier has its own special pin, its own name, and a really clear list of things you have to do to earn it. Think of it like a ladder. Each pin is you climbing up another rung.
Okay, so what are these rungs? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and break down every single tier, starting right at the very beginning.
Your journey starts here, with what they call First Oxcash, or FC for short. They describe it as the moment when, and this is a direct quote, real people start to see the light. You know, it's about finally getting the system, not just spinning your wheels.
So how do you get it? Well, you've got to hit slot 5. Now, they don't exactly say what a slot is, but it's clearly some kind of progress marker, and you need to bring in a team of 2 people. So right at the start, it's all about building a small foundation and learning the ropes.
All right, after that, you're aiming for Silver Oxcash, or SC. And this is where the game starts to change a little bit. It stops being just about building a team and starts to be about generating some actual income. For Silver, you're looking at reaching slot 6, and for the first time, bringing in $1,000 of income. And that's a pretty big deal, right? We're moving from just a team building goal to talking about cold, hard cash. This is where success gets a price tag.
Next up, we've got Emerald Oxcash, or EOC, and they really frame this one as being about grit and resilience. They say the people who get here have, quote, passed through every storm, and are showing the kind of leadership that makes other people want to follow them.
And the numbers definitely show it's a big step up. To get Emerald, you need to be in slot 7 and hit $5,000 in income. That's a 5 times jump from Silver. So yeah, this shows you're really starting to get serious.
All right, moving on up to Gold Oxcash, or GC. They talk about this level like it's a real game changer. This is where your team starts to work like a well-oiled machine, or as they put it, a people-producing machine, where everything just clicks. So to get that gold pin, you need to hit slot 8 and bring in $10,000 in income. Again, you're doubling the last level's requirement. This is a huge milestone.
And that brings us to the top of the ladder, at least as far as these documents go. Platinum Oxcash, or POC. And at this level, your job totally changes. You go from being a hands-on leader to more of a silent teacher, someone who's empowering their team to succeed on their own.
And the final goalpost? Slot 9 and $20,000 in income. If you hit this, you've basically mastered the system. You're not just winning anymore. You're teaching others how to win.
Okay, so that's the what. We've walked the path, we've seen the pins. But the materials, especially from this character they call Uncle Who, are way more interested in the why. Like, why even have this system in the first place? What's the deep down philosophy behind it all?
Well, according to Uncle Who, it's all about psychology. These pins aren't just shiny objects. They're designed to be short-term goals to keep you motivated. They tap into that basic human desire for recognition, right? And they help build a culture where everyone's celebrating success and seeing tangible proof of their hard work and discipline.
But here's where it gets really interesting. They don't just paint a rosy picture. They're actually very upfront about the dark side of a system like this. They frame it as a constant battle between building real power and just feeding your own ego.
Yeah, they see it as a total double-edged sword. On one side, you've got all the good stuff, motivation, recognition, a winning team. But on the flip side, you risk losing sight of what's important, creating a toxic team vibe, and just making the whole achievement feel, well, empty.
And it all comes down to this one core conflict: power versus ego. If you use the system the right way, you build power. That's real discipline, real endurance, real value. But if you get it wrong, you just end up feeding your ego. You get obsessed with rank, you rush things just to look good, and you're just chasing status.
So that leads to their final and maybe most important point. If the pins themselves can be a trap, then what's the real measure of success? What are the things you just can't fake?
Uncle Hu lays out 3 things that he says separate the real deal from the fakes. First, there's time. You gotta have a proven track record. Second is community, having real, engaged people, not just a bunch of hype. And third is the process, a solid, clear system that actually works. He's basically saying these are the things that copycats can't just slap together overnight.
So at the end of the day, the message is pretty clear. The pin itself is just a symbol. It's the result of doing the work. The real prize, the thing that actually has value, is the system you followed to get there. The pin's just the receipt. It's not the thing you bought.
And that really brings it all home with this final quote. They basically say that the real pride doesn't come from the shiny pin on your shirt. It comes from knowing, deep down, that you stuck with it, that you didn't give up halfway. The real win is the journey you took.